a republic if you can keep it. Let us discuss the issues.
He goes back to England in 1764. He's there. He tries to explain he's trying to keep the colonists attached to the crown. He's not a revolutionary at this time. He's trying to be peacemaker. He's saying, look, I'm just giving you my thoughts about this. You're not going to make any friends here. And you want to be able to mend fences before it's too late. And all of these things that you're doing, you're just throwing gas on the fire that's already starting to build.
And one of the things that, unlike some of the other people that have been over there, that have been sent over there as politicians, that Franklin was a celebrity over there. I mean, that that they didn't just see him as a talking head, a politician coming over there to argue certain things. They saw him that his writings, his wit, and his status as a natural scientist during that period of time, and the things that he had accomplished at that point really set him above and beyond most other people that came over there. So the British and even French aristocracy really held him in high esteem, more so than anyone else, because they saw him again as a Renaissance man, as a well-founded person who took things very seriously and approached him from a very pragmatic view. And so that's why when he says things that they did carry a more weight.
Here he is trying to mend fences, wanting to be pro-colonist, but he's also loyalist to the crown. And he was accused, as it said, he was accused in America of being too much of an Englishman, and in England he was accused of too much being a colonist. So he was trying to ride that little narrow rail.
And if everybody hates you, you must be doing something right. Right.
And in March of 1775, Franklin returns or sets sail back to the colonies. And he comes back pretty much right after the time of Lexington and Concord. And he hears about Lexington and Concord and says,
yep, changes everything.
He was no longer in the thought process of being a peacemaker. He had given his best efforts to try to tell them no. But when push came to shove, he was ardently on pro-colonial side. He said, you FAFO'd, and guess what? Now I'm done. We're over here, and we're over here. We're ready for you, and we're gonna fight this. This is right after he gets off the boat, pretty much on his voyage back to Philadelphia. He's elected to the Philadelphia Assembly and elected to be the delegate to the Second Continental Congress, which is crazy. Like, you just get off the boat and go, hey, you, Ben, come here. We got a job for you.
Yeah. But wait, there's even more. So what else happens once
he not only at that time is in the Continental Congress, he is put in the Committee of Five to basically draft and ratify the Declaration of Independence.
The one significant thing that he did is that he changed one of the lines that Jefferson had written, where the first line that Jefferson had written for the Declaration of Independence was, we hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable. And Benjamin, in his astute knowledge, he's like, yeah, no, let's make it a little bit more engaging. We need something a little bit more. And so he said, so he's the one that convinced Jefferson we hold these truths to be self-evident. And that's where we are right now.
Well,
who's been there before?
Let's talk about our slow roll man. He's just keep doing it nice and slow, and he's just steady, and here he is.
Coming, they be hating.
That's right, he's leaning back.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's a guy who now at 1782, and he's what, 76 years old? So he, along with John Adams, John Jay, and Thomas Jefferson, and I think Henry Lawrence, they all meet and work out the treaty that was signed in November of 1782, and it recognized American independence, which was not always a given. Even during the peace treaty, England was going to say, "Oh, we'll call it a draw." You know, like, you can put your arms off.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to give the acknowledgement that the that the
They've
colonists
been
were
beaten.
independent. But
Right.
after much negotiations, again, thank you, Benjamin, it's in the treaty. And the American independence was granted. Treaty of Paris was signed ultimately in 1783. So, what's a man to do?
But wait, there's still more. So once he gets home, he ends up coming home and ends up serving as a president of Pennsylvania's Executive Council. And there, that he was the oldest delegate that was sent to the Constitutional Convention in 1787. And from there, one of the things that he was doing is urging Pennsylvania to sign on to the Constitution and saying, look, yes, this isn't perfect, but we really need it. What was one of the biggest phrases that Benjamin Franklin came up with, of which we owe this podcast? When asked if you, what we would have, his statement was to a woman that asked him, ma'am, is a republic if you can keep it.
If you can keep it.
And by
Now,
that, he meant, yes.
We've talked about this over the podcast episodes about the Constitutional Convention, about the need for compromise, about how those 6 months in Philadelphia in the summer heat, there were contentious arguments over and over and over and over again. From all accounts, there was a time where they were going to give up. Like, this is ridiculous. This is all ridiculous. We finally got rid of the crown. We can't even screw this. We're not a union. We're just going to have 13 different countries. Screw you. Screw this. Screw that. Who comes to the forefront? Here's the old guy in the room. Slow roller, Benjamin Franklin. And from the accounts, he's the one who got everyone on board to say, look, y'all did a great thing. We've all done great things here. We're not done yet. And it would be an insult to everyone who paid the ultimate price, all the sacrifices that have been made. And ultimately, he got everyone on board for this Constitution that was ultimately signed. He is the only one who has signed the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Treaty of Paris, the three documents which delineated American independence. And it is said, he is quoted during this time of trying to tell people to rally to the common cause. We must all hang together, or we shall meet, or we shall most assuredly hang separately. Now, that, I believe, was said during the time with the Declaration of Independence, but I'm sure some version of that was also talked about at the Constitutional Convention, like, everyone, we got to band together here.
We did. You got to finish it. Right.
So that was a little bit of magic, one little last thing that was left in the genie bottle, and we're all better for it.
Right. And one of the big things that of course, at the time that with slavery and everything else, one of the big things about Benjamin Franklin is that early on, that during when he was publishing his papers, that he would actually run ads for purchased slaves and actually run advertisements for it. Before the time of his death, it was actually around 1780, upon returning to the States, he became a staunch abolitionist, to the point where he actually became the president and founded the Pennsylvania Abolition Society and petitioned the first Congress back in 1790, which was his last public act, to end slavery and the slave trade. So this is something where, beyond going for just taking care of America, he wanted to also address some of the things that he saw wrong with America.